I got involved with the Finance Committee on the back of Melissa Murphy and starting We Can, so Women Engaged in Civic Activity on Nantucket. And this was after the 2016 election, where it was kind of a wake-up call for everybody as to, wow, this is the direction politics are going. So she and Jennifer Cohen started what's called We Can. And she had a couple information sessions about being involved, and I went, and Dawn was there, and Christy Farentella, Joanna Roche, Jean Grimmer, and they were talking about being on town committees. And I thought, wow, I don't know that I would get to be on a town committee, but that sounds like really interesting work. And so I put together a resume and said, what my work experience was and my life experience. And then I petitioned each member of the select board, because the select board appoints finance committee, as to, I'd really like to be on finance committee. Is it possible? Because I am a former chief financial officer and numbers tell a story. So I like everything about numbers. And as it turned out, yes, it was. And I was appointed to Finance Committee. And at the time, David Worth was the chair. So I had the advantage of my first year or year and a half on Finance Committee under his leadership. I think one of my key skills as a human is to say, I don't know, and to ask for help. So the first year on Finance Committee, I listened a lot. I didn't say much, to be honest. Everything was brand new. And then, as I said before, David Worth was such a great leader as chair that I was always comfortable asking the stupid question, or what I perceived as the stupid question, because I thought, well, I'm not going to learn if I don't ask. And I think that's true for anyone who joins a committee in the town. I would hope that people don't hesitate to join because they feel that, well, I don't know enough, because I frankly knew finance, but I didn't know municipal finance. I didn't know how town government worked. I didn't know how things worked on Nantucket. And I just I wanted to see what I could contribute from my position of not knowing stuff, but knowing other things. And I would encourage anyone who thinks, well, I have to be an expert before I could join the bicycle committee or before I could join the human services committee. I would say, no. Are you a human who lives on Nantucket? Then you have enough experience. And people who are on these committees are terribly generous with their time and helping. And no one ever has made me feel like, oh, well, you don't know this and you should know this. I knew when I asked to be on Finance Committee how much time it would take, and that seasonally, certain seasons were going to be busier than others. And there are other committees which are a lot less time commitments, maybe an hour a month or 2 hours a month. And so if you're interested in getting started, then take a look at the committees that are on the town's website, and it'll have a sense of how long each one will take. And the things that I would look at are the things that, where do you get your energy from? What makes you happy? Where do you feel like you're making a difference? And then go find those things on a committee, because there's so many committees on Nantucket. I always encourage people, if I have to give anyone advice about anything, I say ask for what you want. The last thing you want to do is feel like it's an obligation that you just like, oh my gosh, I've got to go to this again. You won't be happy. Finance Committee reviews and makes recommendations on every article in the warrant. So we have 2 seasons of what I call heavy lifting, which are the lead up to annual town meeting, where we review all the warrant articles and then make a recommendation. And then if there's a special town meeting, then we do it again for the articles for the special town meeting. Of all the questions you sent me, you didn't ask me, well, why are you doing Finance Committee? And the primary reason I do it is, well, I want to give back to the community like everyone else who serves, of course. I love numbers. As I said, numbers tell a story. And I wanted to get to know people in this community that I never would have had access to in any other way. And because I've met so many interesting people that honestly, my paths would have never crossed them. I didn't grow up here. We've been on island since '98, and I've been here full time since 2014. And it's just, I really appreciate my colleagues on Finance Committee, and we interact with the Planning Board and the Capital Program Committee and the Contract Review Committee, and then the Town Administration. I work a lot with, obviously, Libby and Brian Turbot, the Finance Director, and Rick Sears, his Associate Director. And I would have had never gotten to know any of these people had I not done this. I think that's probably my primary benefit to me as to why I like this work, is because of all the people I've gotten to meet. We need to be a place, and I do believe that we are. I think Nantucket's a community that, number one, votes its values, and secondly, is very inclusive, that every voice is important, every voice should be heard, and people should see people who look like them running the place and participating here. Look at Nantucket, for example. Chair of Finance Committee, woman. Town manager, woman. I don't know how many communities in the Commonwealth have the same, but this is a place where women have opportunities, right? So why doesn't everyone have opportunities? Nantucket is already very open-minded about, and the majority of people on the select board, women, right? 3-2. So Nantucket is a community that has a long history of inclusivity. And yeah, there are a lot of challenges in society. We're not at equity at all. And we are working to make it better. So, and I think people in leadership positions always keep that in consideration, or should keep that in consideration.